All right, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is calling for the modernization of traditional Islamic schools to tackle the surging scourge of terrorism and violent extremism across the sub-region. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Umar Toure, made the appeal in Abuja at the West African Islamic Conference on Security and Governance. Arise correspondent Punarima Benjamin reports. Okay, that story would come during the course of this bulletin. Well, we have in the studio now Dr. Al-Kazim Yahaya, who is the National Secretary of the Jamiatu Ansarudeen Atijaniya, Nigeria. I hope I got that right.
Jamiatu Ansarudeen Atijaniya. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Yahaya. Now tell us, I mean, why the conference? What made it so expedient? Is it the threat that is coming from the U.S. President George Bush, or the threat really from the Islamic State of West African province that has encircled the entire region?
Thank you very much. Actually, the conference, the discussion with ECOWAS and even AU, the Silencing the Gun initiative, has been for a long time, even before this time of the conference, and we've been very cooperative, working together generally to see that security in West Africa is everybody's business that require collaborations, and that we realize there is a gap that existed, that is by not being so inclusive with the Islamic leaders and also other leaders of religion, that has a very big influence within the West African coast. So because of that, ECOWAS now and us developed this strategy to see that respected Islamic and other religion leaders are consulted generally to see to this issue and to work in a inclusive way to see that, yes, we have really find a lasting solution to this insecurity in the region.
Well, it will look as if you've slept on your oars. I mean, ECOWAS in its entirety before gathering, Islamic scholars around West Africa to, maybe redirect the kind of education they give to the adherents and the rest. It is only maybe in Nigeria and a few West African countries that you see the notion of al-Majri, for example. Why don't you find it in Saudi Arabia and other, Islamic nations?
Well, everywhere there are al-Majris, because it's just like a system, an arrangement for Islamic learning.
It's a school. It's supposed to be a school.
A school is a school system.
Yes.
We know it's a school system generally for learning. But what we are saying today, how we have found ourselves, if you see the common al-Majri school is a real characterized by poverty, problems, all sorts of diseases, and when you see them, it's just like a kind of deprivations. They have been deprived from all social way of life, and there's no social inclusion. So this is what we are talking about. We recognize, even in Nigeria, particularly in Africa, in the West Africa, we have this menace. Learning, knowledge is different from being in this stage. And we must see there must be change in this narrative. And we recognize the effort of the federal government, the president of Nigeria now, for having the national, the Al-Majri Commission on out-of-school children. So it's not all Al-Majris that are out of school. All this, you see them running around. They don't even go to any Islamic school or anything. But however we see it, there are social problems. And if we see with these numbers we are seeing in West Africa, and with these numbers we are seeing in Nigeria, which we are seeing about 18.3 million, some about. If nothing is done on it, we know it's a time bomb. Something is waiting ahead of us. So that is why we call that collaboration. And we're not living for government alone. We are all government. We must take responsibility. If you look at traditionally the history of these schools, they are set down in communities and places. And people assist the parents, the community people, the emirs, and in such we don't have these problems. Nobody goes to beg or anything. But that has been defeated. And you see them all over. Some are dropouts. and they will be available for recruits, for all sorts of negative happenings in the society. So we will not allow that to happen, and that is why we feel there must be a safer environment for learning. There must also be regulation to know who are those teaching those children, and also how do they live and live their life. That is why we all the honors of this institution within West Africa and the honors of the system come. We deliberated generally that we must, with ECOWAS generally, to have that platform, that we must find a solution.
Okay. We'll continue this discussion in a moment, because we got the conference video and report which we talked about, that it's ready now. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is called for the modernization of traditional Islamic schools to tackle the surging scourge of terrorism and violent extremism across the sub-region. And President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Umar Toure, made the appeal in Abuja at the West African Islamic Conference on Security and Governance. Our ICE correspondent, Punarima Benjamin, has that report.
It marks the end of a two-day conference in Abuja on the role of Islamic organization on countering terrorism and violence extremism. The conference brought together Islamic leaders across the West African countries to work on modalities that can help reform the Almajiri system and support the security efforts through meaningful engagement with communities to foster peace and unity.
In the last decade, terrorism and violent extremism have exerted a huge toll on the socio-economic well-being of our people. West Africa and the Sahel have become the front line of the global fight against terrorism. The 2025 Global Terrorism Index report reveals a significant shift in global terrorism patterns, with Africa emerging as the new hub of terrorist activities.
The Emir of Kano, an Islamic leader, is now urging all leaders here to follow recommendations made at this conference that can bring about meaningful change.
It is a privilege to witness the culmination of our collective efforts to address the pressing challenges of terrorism, violent extremism, and governance in West Africa and the Sahel, where over 40 million children are out of school and terrorism-related deaths have increased by 250% in the past decade. We have recognized the central role of Islamic organizations in preventing violent extremism and promoting peace, as emphasized in the Quran, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ, and cooperate in righteousness and piety, but do not cooperate in sin and aggression. We have also acknowledged the need for a coordinated cross-border approach to address the complex intersection of traditional Islamic education, youth vulnerability, and regional insecurity.
The conference concluded with the adoption of a regional declaration to strengthen Islamic organization roles in promoting peace, tolerance, and coexistence.
Islamic scholars and leaders are therefore encouraged to use the pulpit to preach unity, forgiveness, and justice grounded in Quranic principles.
We declare as follows: express deep concern that traditional Islamic schools, which enroll millions of students, if not appropriately managed, may inevitably become vulnerable to criminal groups, terrorists, and violent extremists.
And we must also see that we have given our maximum support generally for we to have peace in West Africa, and to see that, yes, we have achieved the needed harmony we need in the society.
With these strong voices making a declaration against violence, extremism, and transformation of the Almajiri system, citizens will only hope that in the coming days, these children will no longer be seen on the streets. They will be transformed into society for a decent and a productive life. Punarima Benjamin, Arise News.
All right, thank you very much, Punarima. I'm still with Dr. Al-Qasim Yahaya here, the National Secretary of JAH Mayatu and Sarudin Atijaniya in Nigeria. Let's just quickly round this up. Okay. ISWAP has its tentacles all over West Africa, deep into Nigeria. One of the ideology of, ISWAP is that they would wipe out Christians in Nigeria, and they've not denied it. What is your sect doing about that?
Well, there's no synergy. There's no synergy between Islam and all these organizations calling themselves jihadis, that and that. Because the Islam we have read, we have learned is from the Quran. And Islam we have read is from the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet. And we have read the books, we have read the text, and we are learned Muslims. So, and we have never seen it. The Quran that promoted that whoever...
But coming through your territory, always, you welcome them. That's what the people are saying.
No. This, what I'm saying, no any religion, whether Islam or Christianity or any religion that welcomes terrorists, terrorism, killings. It is not in the books, it is not in the practice. So therefore, these people should be seen as terrorists and also should be condemned by society. I see no reason why we say maybe Islamic jihadists, as some people used to mention it. There's no link. There's nowhere, no place in Quran, God has Allah commanded anybody to take any soul. He said, whoever has taken a soul who is a pure soul, who has not done anything unjustly, is as if he has killed the whole humanity. You can see the aggression. And you can see also how Islam is clear, generally. If you look at, even historically speaking, all the histories of the jihad in Islam, it was protective. And when they say today there is Fatahul Makkah, that everybody can do religion everywhere, the Prophet Muhammad did not go ahead killing people again. And that is why everywhere. So the mission of Islam completely is peace, and that is what we have read, and that is how we have been tutored and mentored, and every right-thinking Muslim, and that is how we have been living everywhere in West Africa and peaceful everywhere in the world. So for anybody to have any ideology differently is a misconception, misinformation, and he's just using certain things just for proof to carry out certain things that outside humanity, because it's not even within religion.
These people are well known, by the society, that they were brought in by some prominent Nigerians to destabilize this country and the rest. Where was your association? Where were people like the Jamiyatu and Sarudin Atijaniya society then?
Well, you see,
where you have your roots in the entire West Africa.
You see, when questions like this are asked, I always imagine how could have been the society without religion? People like me and you, where will we have been without religion? People like me, how will I have been without Islam and without this mentorship? Because today the Tijaniya you're talking about, we are more than 40 million in this country. In West Africa is something to talk about. In the whole world. Generally, you see us, we are most behaved. We are most behaved. We are not taught to shoot. We don't carry guns. We don't even carry placards. I could remember last time during an activity in Kano, a commissioner of police just came in, and these activities that we come in millions. We have the highest gatherings when we gather in this country. Highest gathering. Because any city, when we say we are marking our congresses, we close the whole city. But we have started gathering. People have filled the whole Kano stadium. A commissioner of police say, no, that environment is not too peaceful. And you want people. Within the next 30 minutes, everybody was out. So we are the most peaceful people in Nigeria and in any society. Why? Because we are mentored with spirituality. We see everybody as the same. We see even those who are not with us, where they are not Islam, we see that what Allah has said in the Quran, that He has created us from men and women, from different tribes and from different origins, so that we may know and respect ourselves and value one another. So we have that ideology, and that is how we are trained, and it's subconsciously in us. So that is why when we deal with other people, people see it differently. So while I'm referring to that question, that role of spirituality, transformation, has impacted a lot. That is why people who are trained in our pattern, when you give them a gun, they cannot. We don't own anything. Our mosques are free, are empty. Even for protective reasons, we don't even think of it.
All right, thank
you.
So
that is why we feel these messages and also should be coordinated strongly. within the premise
West
of the
African,
ECOWAS, so that generally should be a call for concern for all of us. We have a role as an ambassadors of religion, generally to advocate peace and also to transform and change people in the society. Even those people carrying out atrocities, people, they should understand through persuasions, through education, because there's no means, there's no.
Very, very, very understandable. I mean, your submissions here and what your sect and stand for. Dr. Al-Kazim Yahaya is the National Secretary, Jamiyatu Ansaruddin Atijaniya of Nigeria.